The ceramic mug was still warm from the dishwasher, too warm for coffee, but I filled it anyway. My fingers curled around the handle while my eyes stayed fixed on the sliding glass door. Watching guests in the backyard gather under fairy lights, I strung myself. My fiancée laughed at something her sister said. I should have felt happy. Instead, I just kept holding that damn mug, trying not to look at her too long. It was my birthday, 35. But tonight wasn't about me turning a year older. Not really, it was about us, about the baby, our baby. I was finally going to tell everyone. The timing had felt perfect. A low-key party with close friends, her parents, my sister, a few co-workers I tolerated enough to invite. The kind of casual gathering that didn't scream life announcement, but would be remembered for one. That was the plan. Until I found her phone unlocked on the bathroom counter. I should back up. The night before the party, we'd had one of those stupid arguments that come out of nowhere, the kind where you're both tired, both stressed, and someone says something sharp without thinking. She was brushing her teeth when I brought up the idea of announcing the pregnancy at the party. "I just think it'd be good timing," I'd said cautiously, spitting my toothpaste into the sink beside her. She didn't respond right away. Then, "Maybe. I don't know if we're ready." "We are." "It's 12 weeks, Liv. You said you wanted to wait until the second trimester." "Yeah, but—" She paused to rinse her mouth. "I don't know. What if something goes wrong? You already bought a coming soon onesie." She smiled faintly. That was impulsive. The rest of that conversation unraveled into a half-hearted back and forth, ending with her saying, "Let's just enjoy the party, okay?" No pressure. I told myself to let it go, that maybe she was nervous, I was too. But now I wonder if that wasn't the whole story. Back to the day of. I'd been setting up the drink station when she handed me her phone and said, "Can you play the playlist from Spotify? It's under Birthday Chill. Just connect to the speaker." I nodded, took the phone, and walked toward the Bluetooth speaker by the patio door. I don't know why I looked at it. Maybe I felt something off already. Maybe it was pure accident. But as the screen lit up, a notification popped in. Text from Ezra. "You're sure you're going to do it tonight?" I didn't recognize the name. I shouldn't have clicked it. But I did. I tapped into the thread, and the last few messages were right there. Ezra. "You're sure you're going to do it tonight?" Liv. "It's his birthday. It'll be easier this way." Ezra. "I still think he deserves to know in private." Liv. "If I try that, I'll chicken out. Just be there when it's over, please." I stared at those words for a long time. My name wasn't in them, but I didn't need it to be. The room seemed to fold inward around me, the music playing in the background, a mellow acoustic song, suddenly felt too loud, too ironic. My stomach went tight. I turned off the screen, put the phone down on the table like it burned. She was laughing again outside, holding a plastic cup of pink lemonade and a half-eaten brownie. She looked so normal, like someone who hadn't just planned something behind my back. I didn't confront her, not right away. Instead, I went through the motions. I greeted my sister, who brought her weird new boyfriend and a gift bag with tissue paper exploding out the top. I refilled the chips, poked at the charcoal grill with Scott from work. I kept thinking maybe I misunderstood. Maybe she was planning a surprise for me. Maybe I'd taken the text out of context. But that pit in my gut wouldn't leave. It only grew deeper when I saw her slip into the house and check her phone on the counter, like she knew something had gone missing. She didn't see me watching her, or if she did, she didn't let on. An hour later, we gathered around the patio table for cake, candles, the works. People were clapping. I was smiling. Liv stood beside me, one hand on my shoulder, the other holding a paper plate. And I almost did it. I almost said, "Actually, before we cut the cake, Liv and I have something to share." But she beat me to it, not with the news I was expecting. She cleared her throat and tapped her glass with a spoon. "Hey, sorry, can I just say something real quick?" she said, her voice cheerful but tight. The chatter quieted. She smiled at everyone, then looked at me. I just want to say how much I appreciate you all being here tonight for Ryan's birthday, she began. Then she turned slightly, faced me more directly, and the smile faded just a hair. And I also want to say, I'm so sorry, Ryan. A pause. A few nervous chuckles around the table. I'm sorry because I haven't been honest with you. With any of you, and I can't keep pretending. Her voice trembled slightly, but she steadied it. I've been seeing someone else. For a while, and I'm ending the engagement. Silence. It was like someone had taken the air out of the backyard. I just stared at her. The candles flickered between us, casting weird shadows on her face. She kept talking, something about wanting to take accountability, something about not wanting to keep hurting me by living a lie. But it was all underwater, because in that moment all I could think was, she didn't know. She didn't know about the baby, and I didn't say a word. It was 9:26 p.m. when the last guest left. The backyard was a mess of half-crushed solo cups, paper plates stuck with frosting, and folding chairs no one bothered to stack. The citronella candle had burned low, flickering against the shell of a deflated balloon tied to the fence. Somewhere in the kitchen, the dishwasher hummed with forced normalcy. Liv was still in the living room, sitting, legs tucked under her like she was trying to disappear into the couch cushions. She hadn't said much since her announcement, neither had I, but now the house was quiet. No distractions, no crowd, just the two of us and a mountain of things that could never go back in the box. I stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, staring at her like she was a stranger in a familiar shirt. You rehearsed that? I asked finally. She looked up, startled, like she hadn't realized I was still there. No, she said softly. I didn't rehearse it. Could have fooled me. She didn't answer that. The silence stretched. I stepped into the living room, sat across from her, not next to her. I didn't trust my hands not to shake. So who's Ezra? I asked, like I was asking about a weather forecast. Her eyes flicked up. You went through my phone. You handed it to me. Notification popped up. I read it. That's still going through my phone. I leaned forward. Are we really doing the privacy dance right now, Liv? She looked away, picked at her thumbnail. He's someone I met at work. That's it, she sighed. He's a junior associate on a campaign I was consulting for. We worked late a few nights, grabbed dinner once. It wasn't supposed to be anything. Wasn't supposed to be, I repeated, but it turned into something worth blowing up an engagement over. Her voice tightened. Don't pretend like we were perfect. I never said we were perfect. You never noticed how distant we'd gotten. How checked out you were. I laughed bitterly. I was checked out. I've been buying prenatal vitamins off Amazon like a damn idiot. Her head snapped up. You what? You didn't think to wonder why I kept leaving early to get your ginger tea? Why I got weird about soft cheeses at dinner? I let the words hang. Her face went pale. Wait, Ryan, what are you saying? I was going to tell everyone tonight. That you're pregnant. She blinked, stunned. You thought I was... I stopped breathing. What? I said. She stared at me. I'm not pregnant. My ears buzzed. No, I said, shaking my head. No, we did the test. 2 weeks ago, you cried in the bathroom and hugged me for 20 minutes. I was late, she whispered, and I panicked. I took a test, but it was negative. I didn't tell you because you seemed so happy. I thought it was just stress, and maybe I could buy a few more days of pretending. I stood. I had to. The floor didn't feel solid under my feet. You lied, I said, voice louder than I meant it to be. You let me believe for 2 whole weeks, through name talks and ultrasound apps and the freaking announcement plan, you let me think we were having a baby. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't know how to tell you. You looked at me like I was giving you the world, and I didn't want to take that away. Then maybe don't cheat on the guy who thinks you're carrying his child. She winced. I turned away, bracing my hands on the kitchen counter, staring down at the plastic knife I'd used to cut the cake. It still had crumbs on it. "How long has it been?" I asked quietly. "With him?" A long pause. "About a month," she said. "We kissed first. Then, a few nights later, it happened." I laughed. One sharp, humorless sound. Right around the time we started arguing about when to tell people. She didn't respond. The dishwasher beeped in the background. Finish cycle. Ding, like a little bell signaling nothing would ever be the same. I slept in the car that night. Didn't plan to. I went out just to clear my head, then sat behind the wheel until it was too late to do anything else. I reclined the seat, used an old hoodie as a pillow, and stared through the sunroof at the unmoving stars. My phone buzzed twice, once from my sister, once from Liv. I didn't open either. My mind kept running over the phrase, "I'm not pregnant," like a skip in a record, followed by, "I didn't want to take that away from you." As if pretending was mercy, as if breaking it all in public was somehow brave. The next morning, I went back inside, around 7. The air still smelled faintly of smoke from the fire pit. The house was clean. Too clean. She'd packed a bag, left it by the door. I found her in the bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed, eyes swollen from crying. She didn't say anything when I walked in, just looked up. I stayed in the doorway. "Where are you going?" I asked. "My sister's," she said. "For a while." "Running away?" "I'm giving you space." I didn't argue. I couldn't. The truth was, I didn't know what I wanted, only that the future I thought we were building had been bulldozed in 24 hours. She stood, hoisted the bag onto her shoulder. At the door, she paused. "I did love you," she said. "I still do. But something broke. I don't know if it was us or just me." "Yeah," I said, "me neither." She left, just like that. No dramatic goodbye. No second hug. Just the sound of her car backing down the driveway and then silence. That was 2 days ago. I haven't told anyone the truth yet. Not even my sister. To them, Liv just left. They don't know about Ezra. They don't know about the fake pregnancy. They don't know how I still catch myself reaching for the cabinet where I kept the prenatal vitamins, only to remember there's nothing there now but Tylenol and aspirin and an unopened bottle of Tums. I've been trying to figure out what hurts more, that she cheated, that she lied, or that I was ready to love a child who never existed. And now I don't know what to do with all that love. The baby socks were still in the glove compartment. I hadn't meant to leave them there. They weren't heavy, just honest. A 2-pack of tiny grey and white cotton booties I'd picked up at Target on a Wednesday night, back when the future still looked like a nursery with stars on the ceiling and a name we'd argue over in bed. They sat between the registration papers and a bottle of hand sanitizer, quiet, waiting, like a secret I didn't know how to return. I didn't throw them out. I didn't take them inside. They just stayed there, as if removing them would mean admitting it had all been pretend. The first person I told was Alan, my manager at work. It happened 2 weeks after the party in the break room over microwaved leftovers and half-charged politeness. "You look like you've been dragged behind a truck," he said, chuckling. "Everything okay at home?" I don't know why that was the question that cracked it. I nodded once, then said, "Liv's gone." He raised an eyebrow. I added, "She ended the engagement." "At my birthday." He blinked. "Jesus, you serious?" "Yeah." There was a long pause, filled only by the quiet hum of the fridge and someone's Slack notification pinging from a cubicle nearby. "I'm sorry, man," he said, and his voice was gentler this time. "That's rough." "Yeah," I said again. I didn't tell him the rest. Not then. Not about the fake pregnancy. Not about Ezra. Just that it ended and I didn't see it coming. Which was true, even if, deep down, I now knew I'd seen pieces of it for months. I'd just been too stubborn or too hopeful to arrange them into a picture. 3 weeks after the party, Liv texted me. "Liv, can we talk? Just once. I understand if you say no." I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, me. 1 coffee, that's it. We met at a small cafe near the park. Neutral ground. Cold October wind outside, warmth and clinking mugs inside. She looked tired. I probably did too. She didn't try to hug me, just sat, hands wrapped around a paper cup like she needed something to hold on to. I'm not here to fix anything, she said quietly. Good, I said, because you can't. She nodded. I know. Silence. She took a breath. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Properly, not in front of 30 people, not over texts you weren't supposed to read. I didn't interrupt. I was scared, she said, not of being with you, but of the version of me you thought I was. I felt like I couldn't breathe inside that future. I tilted my head. The future where we had a kid? No, the future where we never made mistakes, where everything had to be perfect and planned, where you were already 10 steps in and I was still at the starting line. I looked away, toward the window. A kid outside was chasing a pigeon. The bird wasn't flying, just waddling faster, like it didn't want to embarrass the kid with escape. Why didn't you just talk to me? I asked. I tried, she said. Little things, pulling back, saying I needed space, but every time you just filled the silence with more love. And I felt guilty for not meeting you there. I swallowed hard. She was right. I'd filled in all the blanks myself. Her quiet. I called it contentment. Her hesitations. I mistook them for nerves. I'd been so ready for the next chapter that I didn't check if we were still on the same page. And Ezra? I asked. Her shoulders slumped. He was a mistake. A reaction, not someone I loved, just someone who made me feel temporarily alive. I broke it off with him the day after the party. That doesn't change what you did. I know. We sat there, steam curling between us. Eventually, she reached into her bag and pulled out something small, a sealed envelope. I found this in the junk drawer, she said. It was addressed to your mum. You wrote it the night we took that test. Thought maybe you'd want it back. I took it. My handwriting, my words. I didn't open it. We didn't hug goodbye. I started therapy a week later, not because of Liv, or not just because of her, but because I'd realized how much of my identity had been built around plans, around control, around the illusion that if I just did everything right, life would follow the script. I'd never considered that someone might quietly opt out of the story without telling me. The baby socks are still in the glove compartment, but I don't look at them the same way. I don't think of them as a relic anymore, or a reminder of being fooled. I think of them as a version of me that was willing, who had love to give, who was scared and still hopeful, and still standing in a Target aisle choosing softness. That man didn't disappear when the lie surfaced. He's just quieter now, more careful, but still here,